With the AI chip race not slowing down anytime soon, then, how should investors think and invest in this boom? Here to dive into it are TECHnalysis researchers Bob O'Donnell and Deepwater Asset Management's Doug Clinton. Bob, thanks for joining us. Doug, thanks for joining us. I just want to jump in real quick, Bob, with a question about what these kind of investments mean that NVIDIA is making mean for the likes of the Microsofts, the Metas, the Googles. As they start to build out these technologies or continue to build out these technologies, what does it mean for those companies as they try to get their hands on these chips now?
Well, Dan, look, you laid it out very nicely. And obviously, NVIDIA has a big lead over the competition out there. And I think, we're going to see AMD and Intel, as you pointed out, and Qualcomm even to some degree battling here. And then the custom work that you're going to see, I think you're going to see primarily as a supplement. I think a lot of these companies obviously continue to use NVIDIA and some of these other companies, but they want to supplement that with their own work. The trick is, it's easy, well, it's not easy, it's hard to do one chip, but it's super hard to do a whole line of chips. And that will be the interesting story as we look ahead long term. How do these companies maintain the semiconductor work? Because that's the tricky part that a lot of companies have really struggled with.
Hey, Doug, I want to get your thoughts on this too. We're looking at Microsoft talking about, or the information reporting that Microsoft's working on its own chip since 2019. That's a long time. I mean, we're in 2023 now, so that's not exactly coming out quickly. How long does it take these companies to develop? And if they're caught flat-footed, like some of them have been, what does that mean for those that are just starting to develop their own chips now?
It means they're pretty far behind. I mean, it can take 4, 5, 6, 7 years to really develop a chip and ultimately get it into a position where you can use it in a data center. And not only that, when you're talking about a company like Microsoft, when you're talking about Google with TPUs, I mean, we've heard through some of our industry contacts that Google has probably invested upwards of $5, maybe even $10 billion in terms of developing its TPU chips. And so it's a massive investment of time and capital that you have to think about over a very long time span with these companies. For us, the bottom line is whether companies are developing their own chips or they're relying on an AMD or an Nvidia, we sort of think all roads lead back to TSM because they're really the only company in the world that can do the advanced manufacturing no matter what company is building the chip.
Well, when it comes to something like a Meta, a Google, an Amazon, they're working on these chips now. How do they stack up what they currently have to offer? How do they stack up to what NVIDIA has to offer, Bob?
Well, I mean, the one company that you didn't mention was Amazon, and Amazon has had chips specifically for AI. They have the Inferentia for inferencing, the Trainium chip that they've developed for training AI. So, I think AWS is where in particular they're deploying this stuff within Amazon. But Amazon, I think, has got a pretty decent head start. I think the other companies, you're going to see them come along. And again, I think you're going to see, as Doug pointed out, it's a huge challenge. It's a multi-year challenge for them to get out there. So we may not see the real benefits of these things for several years. And there's going to be a lot of opportunities, again, for the big existing players to establish themselves. One of the other big things that's critical is not only the manufacturing of the chip, but it's also the software around the chip. One of the reasons NVIDIA has done so well is because of all the work they did around CUDA, which for AI and CUDA to work with all the foundation models, the AI frameworks, and all the other things that are necessary to build the software that you need. And we're seeing other companies start to catch up, but that takes an equally long time, and it's a different kind of effort. So it's that combination of manufacturing, chip design, as well as software, and then blending all three of those together that's really necessary to be successful in this area.
Yeah, Doug, I want to get your thoughts real quick on the kind of stocks that people should be looking at here. What kind of companies do you think people should be investing in or looking to invest in? What kind of sleeper hits do you think there might be?
We mentioned TSM just a minute ago. I think if you're trying to find not necessarily a sleeper, but probably the safest, most likely company to benefit from this AI revolution on the chip side, I actually would argue it's TSM, not even NVIDIA, because obviously they make NVIDIA chips as well. But kind of to the point of the conversation, no matter who wins, no matter what chips are being used in these data centers to handle AI workloads, they're probably going to be made by TSM. And so that's a company that we own in our Frontier Tech strategy. We have an index there that powers the Loup ETF. I think the other one, and it's kind of a wild card, but it's kind of not. We've talked a little bit about AMD. Nvidia does have 85, even 90% market share for AI compute right now. I don't think anybody thinks that's going to change. And I think, to Bob's point around the software, CUDA is an incredibly powerful development environment. They have a great community around it. But I think there is a wild card. There's a world in 3, 4, 5 years where AMD could take meaningful market share. They've got good, solid products. And if they do that, I don't think that's priced in the stock in any way. And so that could be one where a lot's priced into Nvidia right now, not as much as priced into AMD in our opinion. So that could be your wild card.
Well, Bob, what happened to Intel and AMD here, right? I mean, these are supposed to be two of the largest chip makers in the world. Nvidia, they were supposed to be a gaming company. Why are they now the company that everybody can't stop talking about? Why are they benefiting so hugely from this revolution? And Intel and AMD are now also ran. Shouldn't they have been doing this as well?
Well, and they have been, but look, you made a point at the very beginning of your piece that I think is critical. Jensen Huang, the CEO of Nvidia, made a couple of bets a long time ago around the early AI stuff, and it turns out that a lot of the work that they did there really benefited. This is what is causing this explosion. So there was some good, intelligent go that helped. But there's a couple of things out there. Like Doug said, AMD has got a lot of opportunity there. They've been building up their software. Their chips on a pure performance basis are actually getting reasonably close to NVIDIA. And there are some arguments on certain levels that, at certain price points, they're doing better in terms of price per value than their software story is coming along. I think Intel's another interesting thing. And while I agree with Doug that TSMC obviously has been the manufacturing hub, look, here's the wild card I'll throw out there is if Intel gets their manufacturing together, our foundry services, and they start winning clients, like maybe they start building NVIDIA chips down the road. There have been rumors of that for a while now. Something like that could also be interesting. And of course, Intel is doing their own work and their own efforts. And the other thing to bear in mind, one I'll just throw out there, when we think about AI, everybody focuses on the GPU and those sort of chips, but turns out a lot of that stuff is still done with the CPU, which of course is where Intel's winning. And you see, even with Grace Hopper, as you pointed out with NVIDIA, they've got an ARM CPU. It's that combination of CPU, GPU, and what is called an NPU together that we're seeing powering these AI workloads. So I think you're going to see different companies play in different ways. But obviously, all the buzz and excitement continues to be NVIDIA, and it's going to be for a while because of how hard it is to overcome, as I said, software plus chip design altogether.
All right, Bob O'Donnell and Doug Clinton, thank you guys so much for joining us.